See if we got any. All right, so NASDAQ, we kind of thought that we would get a pullback in the NASDAQ anyway because of Amazon, right? And I would imagine retail probably took a little bit of a hit today too. Coming down to an interesting area of potential support for the NASDAQ, pierced the lower, or didn't pierce it, but touched the lower Bollinger Band. We'll see what happens next week. We'll see if we're going to come down here and test this 100 EMA right around 5150 or so for the NASDAQ. Maybe even try, we test there, and then the next area of potential price support is right around 5100, right? So, still not looking, and we've been saying this for the last few weeks, is that nobody's really in control. And if anything, that right now it's kind of shifted over into the bear camp, but there's still not a lot of conviction there either. All right, so that's the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the IBB, which, we've been saying for the last couple of weeks that IBB is looking pretty harsh, man. Right? Talking about a bear flag. Been saying bear flag, bear flag, bear flag, right? And guess what happened? Today, so let's look at where we're at. Let's back this out to the long-term picture here, right? We broke below the 200-week moving average today, right? Yesterday we held it. Today we broke below it. And we came down and we kissed this trend line. And actually, I'm going to adjust this trend line just a tad because I want to go to the bottom of this wick of this candle right here. All right, we're right there now. Right at the bottom of that wick, right? So I was thinking that maybe we were getting ready to test this long-term trend line. Next week, if we take out that long-term trend line, that becomes problematic, right? We take out that long-term trend line, we take out 240, we're likely coming down and test somewhere in this 210, 200 area. That's going to be that would be a painful drop for the IBB. So and the thing that sucks about this the way it's currently set up right now is that it's well within the Bollinger Band, right? So we could have 2-3 more days of downside and not be piercing the lower Bollinger Band. This could be just a nice controlled move down. So, I've been saying it. I'm going to say it again. Guilty until proven innocent. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Same thing with the IWM, right? So now we did pierce the lower Bollinger Band on IWM on rising volume. No reason to be sticking your neck out in the small cap space, right? Aggressively. Not looking healthy, right? Looking like it wants to potentially go lower. And then we have to try and identify, well, where is there some potential price support? Maybe we could find a little support here at 116. If that doesn't hold, then we come down and test the 200-day around 114, and then you lose the 200-day because that's a big moving average for traders, right? So you lose the 200-day moving average, you're likely going to get that really significant drawdown, right? So guilty, guilty, guilty until proven innocent is the IWM. Let's take a look at the dollar. So the dollar, some weakness today, right? A little bit of a pullback. So A1 and I were talking before the other guys got in here. If you want an indication of what is, I'm going to get to that VIX, man. Is of what this market will do if Trump is elected president. Look at what happened today, right? We were up. That news hit and the market tanked. The only thing that bounced was the IBB because why? Because Hillary is like, afraid, everybody's concerned that she's going to go after the healthcare and drug companies. So that bounced, but the rest of the market started dropping. So that tells you, that gave us a little window into what would happen if Trump shocks the world and becomes the president. I think the market would react really badly to that event. So, we had some weakness in the dollar, did close below the 8 EMA. So maybe we see some continued weakness next week. If we do, then we could see some continued strength in gold, which did have a little bit of a bounce today. JNUG and Nugget, not so much. Right, let's take a look at it real quick. So gold had a little pop, still closed right here at the 21 EMA, but did close above this short-term trend line here. Let's look at GDXJ. See, now they didn't respond nearly as well as I would have thought they would have, right? They had a little bit of a bounce, but this GDX still closed below the 200-day moving average. Let's take a look at JNUG. Very funny, Nick. All right, let's look at JNUG. Right, JNUG closed down. Right, so these didn't really respond the way that you would have thought that they would respond, with the dollar being weak and gold being up a little bit. So, we'll see how that plays out next week. I still think, if we see continued weakness in the dollar, you're going to see a move in gold and the miners. You will see that to the upside. If we get any kind of sustained weakness in the dollar, that will happen. So, we'll keep an eye on that next week. But let's take a look, like A1 just brought up. Let's take a look at that at the VIX, right? So we had a pretty good little spike in the VIX today off of this news. But look at where we closed. We pierced this trend line, closed above the 200-day, which is good. Pierced the trend line and came up into some price resistance, and we closed right at that trend line, right on. So next week we'll see what happens, right? If we break that trend, we break that longer term trend, this could be the beginning of a trend reversal. If that's the case, volatility is certainly going to pick up. And UVXY, we got a little taste of it today. Honestly, I didn't get to play UVXY, and I wanted to, but I got involved with emails today. I was sending an email to EKSO, and then I got involved in a phone call, so it was just too difficult for me today. But UVXY and TVIX will absolutely be on our radar for next week, right? We have a couple, we have a few days in a row, a couple of days in a row being up, coming up into this short-term trend line resistance. So, but it's still definitely something that we're gonna pay close attention to next week. USO. So OPEC, a lot of articles today coming out that oh wow, that sucks. well, don't know how many people are impacted by that, but OGXI is going to eliminate 55% of their workforce. They probably have 10 employees. Still sucks though. So remember back here, I said this could be a double top. Remember that? It kind of starting to look like a double top, isn't it? Right. So we got these headlines that came out today that this OPEC agreement, maybe isn't looking so hot, right? And they can't come to an agreement with Iran, and so we'll see. If we talked about earlier in the week, we lose that $50 a barrel. That could be a problem for oil and the energy names. Look, I've pointed out several times that there are a lot of energy names out there that still have terrible looking balance sheets, huge amounts of debt and no money. So you've got to be, if you're going to play in the space, you got to pick the best of the best, man. You want to swing those, you got to pick the best of the best. The ones that have very little debt, have good looking, have decent looking balance sheets. Yeah, I saw. Who was the one that cut their dividend completely, Peter? What was the one that cut their dividend entirely? I know there was one. It was maybe it was NA or something like that. NA, I can't remember. No, it wasn't NA. Yeah, with an N though. But you're right. There are still a lot of energy companies out there that have really bad, crappy looking balance sheets. So if you're gonna swing them, please do your homework on them before you take them. All right, so we talked about oil. We talked about the IBB. NE, that's it. That's the one. They completely cut. They stopped paying a dividend, right? They eliminated it. Yeah. All right. So Labu, right? We're just looking at potential opportunities if things bounce or whatever, but Labu coming down to an area of potential price support, but not piercing the lower Bollinger Band. We haven't had this parabolic drop in the Labu. This is pretty controlled takedown. So let's look at LABD. It is grinding up. It closed right above the 100 EMA. And it looks like it's going to grind up to this area of basically about 29 bucks and test that as resistance. All right, so now the SPY is up after market. Why? Because the FBI has so far found nothing classified in emails related to the Clinton case. So maybe this will be all cleaned up by Monday. And then the market can start going up again, I guess. Although the market really wasn't going up. See, the market doesn't seem to like either candidate, really. So LABD looking like maybe it could get some continuation, nice controlled move higher. Let's take a look at the IYT real quick since I'm here. Right, still having difficulty getting through this little trend line. Yeah, you did say that, A1. You thought it was BS. We'll see what happens, man. Transportation's just kind of, it still doesn't look healthy in any way, shape, or form. What I haven't looked at here is high yield in a while. I haven't looked. This is high yield debt, right? Corporate bonds. Pretty big, pretty significant little drop here. See if we find any support at about 86 bucks. If not, that could signal more pain ahead for sure. Okay, so what did DRIP do today? I forgot about DRIP. So this is the three-time bear exploration and production company or for oil. This is a three-time bear ETF. They just did a reverse split, flirting with the 50 EMA, flirting with $24 HALA. This could be something for us to pay attention to if oil really does, the weakness does pick up. I've talked to you also about ERY. That could be another play if oil weakens, right? This could be another opportunity. This is the three-time energy bear. All right. What is it? I haven't looked at this in a little bit. Emerging markets. That's India Fund. Just broke that trend line. I mean, nothing looks really strong to me right now, but that doesn't mean that we're going to crash. It just means that right now there's just not a lot of good-looking setups out there for the long side. All right, so let's take a look at the SMH real quick, and then we'll look at the S&P 500. So SMH closed right at the low of the day, right? And looking like we could potentially head down and test this 50 EMA right around 67 bucks. I mean, not breaking down in any stretch of the imagination, just consolidated. But still looking guilty until proven innocent. Let's look at the S&P 500. So, we did break this trend line today, right? We didn't take out 212, but we broke below that trend line. And that does not look great. If we take out 212 next week, I don't think that's going to be a real good thing. So we'll see what happens next week, but it does not look real good for the S&P 500. Let's see how much these dropped here. T2107, T2108. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. Look, if we do get, a pretty good drop, it's going to set us up for a rip-roaring snapback rally into Santa Claus season. We'll see what happens, but could be interesting. All right, so let's move on to some other sectors, and then we'll see if there's anything of note on a Friday that could be worth watching next week. So aerospace and defense. I would imagine aerospace and defense would be a sector that would go up if Trump is president, right? Because everybody's going to be scared to death that we're going to war probably soon if he becomes president. So looks like it had a little bit of a bounce today. I mean, it's flagging, consolidating. Let's see what else we got going on here. We already talked about biotech, home builders. Little bit of a bounce, but still looking fairly weak. Materials sector, a little bit of a bounce there, but still having trouble with that trend line. Financials are holding up pretty good. I have to tell you, financials are holding up pretty good. They're not doing a lot, but they're holding up pretty well. Energy, a little bit of a pullback, nothing significant. Industrials. So industrials had a little bit of a bounce today. You know, probably, you know, attach that to the fact that the dollar was weak today, right? That's why we got a little bit of a bounce. This is starting to look like a bull flag here in utilities. It's starting to. I mean, it's looking like it's consolidating, getting ready to break to the upside. Healthcare, ugly, just like the IBB. Guilty, guilty, guilty until proven innocent. Maybe we have a little bit of support here at 67, but I think, you know, potentially coming down past 65 area. You know, THC, you know, got pounded today. Let's bring that up real quick. Closed, you know, below this area of support. I threw out in the room, you know, this. So did I sell THC? I did not sell THC. Long-term portfolio. They got a lot of issues right now. They got earnings coming up. They're going to have to address it. You know, maybe the stock really tanks, craters. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I don't have a huge position in THC. But here's the thing. If it really crashed, like down to 1640 in that area, I would likely add to my position, right? And just going to wait it out and see if somebody winds up acquiring them or what. But wasn't good action in THC today at all. It wasn't good action in healthcare in general. All right, so healthcare still, you know, guilty, 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 guilty. See what happened with consumer discretionary. We pierced the lower Bollinger Band, closed below the 200-day moving average. We broke that price support. Kind of looking like consumer discretionary wants to go lower. Metals and mining, a little bit of a bounce to reflect that bounce in gold. Nothing significant. Although if the dollar really weakens, we could see some good action in this space. Oil and exploration, that's interesting. Pulled back to this 100 EMA, closed right on top of it. Testing that trend line. Actually, you know, we kind of look like we already broke below that trend line, closed below it. Right? I mean, if we take it to the bottom of that candle right there. So not looking real good for oil and gas exploration. Retail took out 42. Pierced the lower Bollinger Band. Did manage to bounce towards the end of the day, but not looking great, man. I mean, there's nothing out there there is no sector out there right now that I'm saying, wow, I really got to start loading up in that sector. If anything, you know, the thing that looks maybe the most promising is right now possibly the volatility play. So we'll see what happens next week. But I think we need to be extremely cautious, right? We need to continue to be cautious. That doesn't mean that we don't look for opportunities, because there will be opportunities out there. You know, isn't the end of the world. Not every stock is going to go to zero. There's going to be opportunity out there. So you start looking at names that you like, identifying areas of support and areas of resistance, and start putting together a wish list of stocks that you want to own. This is more for the long-term portfolio or for swing trades. And then let's keep an eye on some of those short biased ETFs and some volatility plays if the markets really do take out some key support next week. Anybody got anything that they're seeing after market that is catching their eye? CRSP, what is going on here? CRSP. Oh, it's a recent IPO that had a nice little pop. So apparently, received notification of paragraph on certifications. All right, we'll look at that one in a minute. CRSP reports SEC filing that 8.3% stock. Okay, Glasgow has got a 8.3% stake in CRISPR Therapeutics. May engage communications with the board. All right, that's kind of interesting, right? Let's see what this thing is doing off of that news. CRSP. Not much. I mean, it's Friday afternoon. A little bit of as I say, not much. It goes from 17 to 19. I don't know how many shares were just bought, but could be 2 for all I know. But could be interesting to have on the radar next week. How many shares we got in the float? 27 million shares in the float. Pretty tiny. Oh, was it 5 shares, DK? That's so funny. All right, well, that's good. Somebody's playing games, I guess. I don't know. All right, PGNX. I don't know if this, let's see what's going on here. PGNX, let's take a look at this. Just broke below the 200-day moving average, coming up to potential support at 480 or so. I don't know if this is good news or bad news that was just reported. Apparently nobody else does either, because it's not doing anything. So, I love it. It's like, as I say that, it drops. Probably dropped on 4 shares. I don't know. We'll see. Somebody will probably write an article about that this weekend. OGXI, we already talked about that one. That's the one that got whacked today on the data, right? Or no? No, this isn't the one. Which one was the one that got killed today? Hold on. OPXA down 70% today. But OGXI just had this big pop, one-day pop, gap higher up to 70 cents, and then pulled back over the next couple of days. Now they announced they're laying off a big portion of their workforce. ASRX, Express Scripts expect tax benefit, diluted earnings per share. All right, let's look at this ESRX. Whoa. That's not looking real good. 668 million shares. You're right. That is thick, Peter. That is a thick stock. IRS letter, October 28th, reporting conclusion of examination of potential tax benefit related to disposition of Polymedic. 81 cents, diluted earnings per share. So I guess ESRX, that's being taken as a positive thing, right? If I'm reading that right. Hold on a second. All right, so I've got a couple of stocks that I talked about in the pre-market prep video that I said I was going to do some homework on this weekend, and I am going to do that homework. See if maybe we've got a potential opportunity there. So this WG, these are oil and gas name, isn't it? WG. Yeah. Oil and gas name there. Lost 17 cents a share. She's full year 725 to 750 million versus 774. So they're lowering their top line revenue. Probably not going to react well to that news. Peter, Dr. Frost, another, or is that the C? That's not. Yeah, that's the CEO, Frost. Added another 10,000 shares of OPCO this week. Consistent, man. The guy is consistent. All right, so ESRX is getting a little bit of a bounce off that news, nothing significant. So it's Friday afternoon, not a whole lot of stuff going on news-wise other than this Hillary Clinton thing. We'll see how this all plays out over the next couple of days. I will be doing stocks to watch on Sunday morning, and I'm going to just do it on Ticker TV until I get some things figured out with this webinar program. But I will do it on Ticker TV. Look, pro members don't have to join me because I'm going to do an expanded stocks to watch list for you guys anyway later in the day, right? And Peter, I expect to get a list from you this week, man. I didn't get one last week. I was very offended. So I will be doing.
Why are you laughing?
Because I like to laugh. That's a good thing, right?
Where is Like the Rocket? That Like the Rocket guy. Where is he?
Where is who?
Like the Rocket.
Oh, I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know. People come and go, bro. I mean, look, one thing I've learned, in this business is that a lot of people come and go. I mean, they start out, they want to do this for a living, and they have a bad run or whatever, and they just disappear, and then eventually they come back sometimes. So, but it's a good question, man. I like a Rocket. He always has some great setups.
Great stocks. Great stocks. Really. He's a lot of good setups. So I don't know. Maybe he'll come back. We'll see. But so I'll be doing that on Ticker TV Sunday morning. But like I said, pro members, you don't have to come because I'm going to give you an expanded list for us to watch anyway. Maybe a focus stock. I'll talk about maybe these stocks that I'm going to do some research on this weekend. Maybe put them on my list. And if I get a response from EKSO, we can talk about that. So anyway, I will see you guys either Sunday or I will see you on Monday in the chat room. All right. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe and have fun. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.